I'm handsome, I'm fast, I'm pretty, and can't possibly be beat.
High fly ball into right field. She is gone.
They might be going to call George Brett out.
Well, he's out.
Yes, sir.
Brett is out. Look at this. Brett is out.
He's steaming mad.
He is out.
Swung. Fly ball deep left center. Grissom on the run. Yes! 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 The Atlanta Braves have given you a championship.
Auburn going after it. Here's a good snap. It is blocked. It is blocked. It's caught on the run. It's caught on the run. He's going to score. David Wagner. David Wagner has scored. And Auburn is tied the game.
It's good! It's good!
It's good.
It's good!
It's good.
It's good!
Van Tippen has won the ball game.
Alabama has beaten Auburn!
I'd like for the people to remember me as being a winner, because I ain't never been nothing but a winner.
Yeah, we haven't been. What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another edition of Talking Sports with Coach. How is everyone doing today? We have been gone, it seems like, for the last 2 days. I apologize. Just haven't had to work and had some tooth pain and just had a lot of problems to try to get this show going. But we are back. And of course, you know, we're going to be joined by a great guest that loves to break down the NFL as much as I do. I mean, he covers the Tennessee Titans. We'll be talking a little bit about that later, but you know, we are right now breaking down each division, giving our previews, our predictions on the season. You know, we're just trying to talk about something with a lot going on right now. You know, camp just started about a week ago, so it's just going to be fun. This is we hope we start in 26 days. So it's going to be great. And what better way to introduce a guy that I know you enjoy on the show, and that's Allan Bell Jr. from Sportsline.com, 24/7 Sports. Allan, dude, thank you for joining me this morning. What's going on, dude?
What's up, brother? Appreciate you having me, man.
Man, I'm just so excited. What are we, 26, right? 26 days till NFL season? Something like that, 25? We're close. Yeah, we're close. It's all right, you know, but I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, with all the possible not having, you know, college football and everything like that, I'm pretty excited to get my fantasy draft going and get this NFL season going. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel you on that for sure.
Are you playing fantasy at all this year?
Yeah, definitely, man. You know, I don't ever play any leagues. It's usually just, you know, buddies and friends and stuff. But yeah, you know, the question we've been talking about is this: you know, when is everyone going to hit their fantasy drafts? You know, because it's been so delayed and so, you know, it's kind of off. Like, usually, pretty much everybody would have their fantasy draft done by now, right?
Right.
And I bet there's less than 5% who've done a fantasy draft.
I mean, I haven't. I have a group of guys that I went to high school with. We still have a group going right now for the last, I mean, at least it's almost a decade now. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy that we've been together like we have. And, you know, I play from time to time if somebody wants me to join a league or whatever. I just like to play in general, whether it's Yahoo, ESPN, whatever. You know, and that's going to be hard, you know, to kind of do that. But I've already heard somebody that calls into the show, you know, the radio show all the time. He's already gotten his draft and he's got some great guys. I mean, he has, I think he said he had Galladay, Michael Thomas, he had DeAndre Hopkins, he had Saquon Barkley as his running back, and we're like, what? Do you have 8 people in your draft?
Yeah. Who else is drafted in this league?
It's crazy. I mean, it really is. It's just like, I mean, we play with 12, and you know, but still, and even with 12, it's still a crapshoot trying to get fantasy, you know, trying to get free agents, you know.
Yeah.
So
it's gonna be a wild fantasy year, man.
Are you a guy that likes to go? Do you go running back first or wide receiver?
And it all depends. Like, it depends on where my draft position is, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, if it's like a standard league, you know, I try to get a quarterback first. To be completely honest.
Really?
Like, if I'm kind of up top, yeah, just because if you look at the amount of points that they're going to score overall in a season, you know, it's going to be much higher than any other position. But, you know, you kind of have to weigh that against, you know, if you're 7, 8, 9, close in the first round, well, you know, then it kind of changes. You're not going to get Lamar or, you know, Patrick Mahomes, somebody like that. I think Dak Prescott's going to have a great depends on what your position in the draft is. So yeah, I mean, I certainly try to go quarterback or wide receiver.
Yeah.
Running backs, man, it can be hit or miss. You know what I mean? Like you gotta hit that right. So yeah, that's about where I stand on it.
Yeah, I messed up last year. I went like, I think I went running back, and by the time I got receivers, it was like, I don't know. I think my team, I think injuries was what really messed my team up, but it was also like, I think I just should have gone one running back, wide receiver, or so just done something different, something crazy and different.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're right. Like, you know, in a fantasy draft, like, you kind of have to read the room.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you kind of have to see what other people are doing, you know, where you're going to find your value. You know, so you kind of have to know a little bit about who you're playing with, you know, and kind of watch what other guys are doing.
Well, apparently.
Take advantage for sure. Basically, what the Cowboys and Ravens did in the real draft.
Yeah. I mean, like, apparently you can auto draft, though, too, because the guy that has won it 2 times now in our league has auto drafted.
I mean, you're going to take the best available player.
I guess so, right? I mean, and I guess along down the stretch, it's gonna work out. So, all right, man, let's quit the fantasy talk. Let's talk a little bit about the AFC East. We broke down the NFC East last time we talked, and I thought we'd throw it a little bit over with this intriguing AFC East and how open it could be for any team to really win the division this year. But with Tom Brady being gone and Cam Newton coming in to New England, you got Buffalo, Josh Allen. New York, you know, you got Sam Darnold, and then Miami, you got Tua. So it should be a lot of, you know, or Fitzpatrick for a few games, which I'd love to see, to be honest with you. But let's break down Buffalo first off. Buffalo, Josh Allen ranked higher than Carson Wentz. Do you agree?
Yes.
Yes, you're not the only one.
Yeah. No, I think Josh Allen, like, we're talking about fantasy, I think Josh Allen, you know, he got him ranked about the 4th best quarterback in fantasy this year. So, yeah, I believe in that. I definitely do.
You know what's crazy? I had him and Drew Brees last year, and Drew Brees got hurt, and I had to run with him, you know, and I wasn't afraid. I wasn't afraid to run with him. I mean,
he's
maybe
gonna throw the rock, man. Like, yeah, he's gonna throw the ball around. Now they had to step on Diggs. Like, I mean, it's, you know, he could have a really kind of monster fantasy season. He could look a lot like what Matthew Stafford did to start last year before, you know, his back injury.
Yeah.
You know, Matthew Stafford, people forget, like, the Lions' offense was on fire. You know what I mean? So, Josh Allen could be pretty good this year.
So it's crazy. I'm looking at their draft. They had a 2nd round, 3rd round, 4th round, and a 5th round. All the 22nd pick, which is crazy. I mean, it's just like, it's hilarious that 2, 3, 4, 5, all the 22nd pick. But a guy in AJ Espinoza, I thought that guy was going to go a 1st round. Is that a kind of a steal in the 2nd round?
I mean, you'd think, you know, if you're a draft grade type of guy, you would say so for sure, just based off the position where he was picked, right? Because
Right.
a lot of people did have him, you know, pretty high. But again, you know, we'll see what, you know, how he fits, you know, with that team. But yeah, I mean, you'd have to say it just based on, you know, his potential value at that position.
Yeah, I think they could move him around, just use him wherever. I think he might. You think they play like he play a linebacker hybrid?
Yeah, I mean, you know, that's the good thing about Buffalo, right? Like,
Yeah.
You know, kind of the same thing with, like, New England, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, that, you know, when you see guys, you know, go over there, like, think about Fitzpatrick when he goes over to Pittsburgh, right? Like, you're joining a defense that's already kind of set. And while you hear that might sound bad, but no, it's actually good because, you know, you're not counted on, you know, as much as, say, you know, a Cincinnati Bengals, right?
Yeah.
Like, they went after, you know, a first-round defensive player to where they, you know, they need you to fill big shoes immediately. You know, you go to a Buffalo Bills defense that was already, you know, stone cold from last year. And yeah, you know, you can kind of move him around a little bit, and he's got other players obviously that are better than him. You know what I mean? So you don't have to, you know, be the immediate captain leader type of guy right out of the gate.
Yeah.
You could just play football, and you know that's why Minka was such a stud. You know, when he went to Pittsburgh, not that he wasn't before, but just because they just get out there to play ball. So yeah, I mean that, you know, if you're a defensive player, like that's the team that you want to go to for sure.
Yeah, so I want to talk about the offensive side of the ball now. What are your thoughts on pulling for a guy in the 5th round like Jake Fromm when you've got a guy like Josh Allen already established as your quarterback?
Well, I think that, take a quarterback anywhere from the 5th, 6th, 7th round, okay? Like, it's already kind of a low percentage,
Yeah.
That these guys are going to work out. 5th, not as much as, like, say, 7th. Like Tennessee, here in Nashville, whenever Colt McDonald from Hawaii in the 7th round, and it's kind of taking a flyer on a guy. But again, the quarterback position, it's just one of those to where there's just not many of these players that can play, quarterback in the NFL. And I'm not saying that Tom can, he can't, we don't know. So it's always just kind of a good bet to make.
Yeah.
Bill Belichick has lived off this. The Patriots have been doing this for years.
Mm-hmm.
And if Jake Fromm turns out to be somebody that's good, you could put him in the backup position, or you could trade him out. You know what I mean? Like, that's exactly what, New England cashed in on Jimmy Garoppolo. So, I'm not against the play. We'll see what the guy can do, but, it's one of those kind of Vegas bets that even if you lose, you don't really lose because, the value was there. It's just that.
So I'm looking at the record, 10-6, right behind New England. No Tom Brady. I'm looking at their schedule. You've got AFC West and NFC West. Looks like the 2 series games, other than their division.
So let me stop you right there.
Yeah.
And because I want to hit on their schedule. Their schedule's brutal. All right. So think about this. So they're going to face 5 of the top 17 total last season, including 4 times in 5 weeks coming out of their 5.
Yeah.
Right. So you've got the Jets, the Patriots, the Jets again, the Chargers, 49ers, Steelers, and Patriots again. 3 of their final 5 games are on the road.
Yeah.
Week 13 at San Francisco, Week 14 versus Pittsburgh, Week 15 at Denver, Week 16 at New England, and Week 17 against the Dolphins. And last, they're going to face both of last year's Super Bowl and 3 of the 4 teams that made the conference championship game last year. So, exactly. Their schedule is not easy at all. Like, it is loaded up for sure. And understand, 1 year to the next in the NFL can change dramatically.
Yeah.
We've seen that year after year. So, you're just kind of going off a projection of last year. But I think we all think that, the 2 Super Bowl teams and 3 of the 4 conference championship teams, like those teams are going to be good again.
Yeah.
The Chiefs aren't going to fall off. The Ravens aren't going to fall off. I don't think the Titans are going to fall off, terribly far. The Niners are going to be good. You know what I'm saying? Like, the teams don't look like they're just going to, they haven't really had big changes this offseason. They should be pretty good. So, I say all that to say this. Their schedule's tough. But the good thing for them is that if their defense just kind of stays at the level that it was last year, Buffalo was a tough out because they could essentially, if they got to 24, 26 points, you were almost toast because their defense was not giving up. I think they were averaging like 16, and a half points, per game last year, somewhere around there. So it was like if they just get 3 touchdowns, they're probably going to win the game, more times than not. So, it's going to be a tough schedule, but defense travels, bro. So that should work out for them. As long as their defense is playing, they should be all right.
So did it mean they went 10-6? Did they win 10 games this year? At least 10?
I don't think that they do. No, I'm not saying it's going to be a bad year by any means, but 10 games in the NFL is tough to win, especially with what I just laid out.
Yeah.
Sports on, we've got them at 8.8 wins.
Okay.
Which is pretty good. All things considered. About the 9th best team in the NFL. We've got them at a 34% chance to win the division, which doesn't sound high, but it is because it's being divided by 4 teams. And we've got them at 59% to make the playoffs. So 9 wins, roughly around there.
Yeah.
They can get to 10. You never know. I mean, a swing game can do it for you. 9 to 10 wins is about when they should fall.
All right. Let's move on to the New York Jets. Sam Darnold. You got Adams out of there. He didn't want to be there. Now his coach is saying he could be bored by moving over to the Seahawks. What are your thoughts? on what the Jets did in the draft, and how do you feel about them?
So the Jets, it's hard to count, what they did in the draft just because we just don't know, and especially with no offseason this year, like rookies are going to be in a tough spot, like you just are.
Yeah.
Think about this. This today would have been preseason game number 1 across the NFL. Like that's how far along we are in the calendar, and like there's teams who haven't even practiced yet, right? So I mean that's how difficult it's going to be. But if you look at just the Jets overall, their schedule not as brutal as the Bills, but it's not easy either, right? So the weird thing, the quirk in their schedule is they play 2 straight games versus the Dolphins. Week 10 on the road, they got a bye in week 11, and then week 12 at home. It's only the second time since the merger that a team has played the same team's back-to-back games. So it's kind of a weird quirk that they have there. They got 3 road games in the final 4 weeks of the season.
Yeah.
Including games against the Seahawks, Rams, Browns, and Patriots. That's going to be a little bit tough. They've got 3 trips to the West Coast, including 2 straight weeks. They've got, week 14 at Seattle, then week 15 at Los Angeles. So, we'll see how they travel. But again, the schedule isn't as brutal as Buffalo. But with New York, I just don't believe in Adam Gase. Like, I'm just not an Adam Gase guy. Yeah, and I'm not saying he's a bad coach because, it's hard. It's hard to win in the NFL. Like, it's just hard. But, I just don't believe all that much. Like, Sportsline, we've got the Jets projected about 6.1 wins.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, exactly where they're going to fall. They got about a 6% chance to win the division and only a 13% chance to make the playoffs. So I'm not huge on them. I don't think they're going to be terrible.
Yeah.
But do we believe in Sam Darnold?
I don't know, man.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I know. Like, what are your thoughts? Like, I don't know where to fall. Like, I think the kid has talent. I don't think that it's, all-world talent.
Yeah.
And he also doesn't have that great of a team around him. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, that's what I'm saying. I don't think he's like a world beater. You know what I mean? I think he's just like another NFL quarterback I feel like he's going to be with the Jets for however long he's going to get. He could get an extension or whatever, but I don't think he's ever going to get over that hump. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think they're going to put enough. They got Le'Veon Bell. You got rid of Robbie Anderson. You really don't have any, depth around you to really push the ball. And I'm looking at their draft, and it just seems like they're building for the future a little bit. They got an offensive lineman for him. You got Becton out of Louisville. I mean, they got him a wide receiver as Denzel Mims out of Baylor. Like, I like that. But I just don't know. I mean, you gave up your best safety. Your linebacker hasn't been playing the best. I just think that the Jets in general are always going to be that team that will be 7-9 or 8-8 every single year, and they're going to get bullied by Buffalo or New England. And then I feel like Miami is better tooled for the future than the Jets are. Don't you think?
Yeah, I definitely do. I certainly like the coaching.
Yeah.
I think equal talent to talent.
Yeah.
Miami, they're catching up with them. New York, like, I just don't believe in them. And I'll say this. Here's the hard part. I don't think that their locker room is all that great.
Yeah.
Right? And what I mean by it is that you're a Jets team, on draft to all out. Okay?
Yeah.
So, the first round of the draft is a 50-50 flip anyway. It just is. It always has been. So you get a guy, a safety that comes in, and he lives up to every expectation that you want. You want him to come in as a rookie and be a stud. He does it. And then you say, okay, well, let's see if this kid can get better with a 1 year kind of hit. Guy gets better, becomes a team leader, all right? Becomes, I don't know if he was all pro. I know he's a pro ball. So he lives up, every year he lives up to every expectation and more that the team wants him to do, okay? And how do they reward him? They don't pay him. So what I mean by it is this. There are other guys. There are 52 other dudes in that locker room. Look at that and say, man, like, if Jamal Adams Like, if he can't get rewarded by this team, there's no way that anybody else is, because he literally lived up to and more the draft pick that he was on the field, lived up to it and more in the locker room. He's the guy who got Le'Veon Bell. He recruited Le'Veon Bell to come to the Jets, right? Like, I mean, this guy has done everything and more that the team asked him to do, and it ends horribly. So other guys in that locker room, and we saw it, like, when, before he was traded, there were other Jets players that were kind of coming out saying, yeah, we agree with Jamal on this one. So, what happens if they come out and lose their first 2 games? If they lose, 6 of their first 8 games, right? Yeah. Like, that locker room could fold quick.
Oh, yeah.
And if it does, we're going to be, there's games coming up the season on the hot seat anyway.
Yeah.
And now you throw in, issues with the team owner, in terms of, kind of some sexual or harassment or racial type things.
Yeah.
And it's just not conducive. Like, a winning team could kind of put that behind them just for a little bit, just because they win. But a losing team, those things tend to eat from the inside out. So I just don't have any faith in you.
I mean, and I don't even look. I mean, I look at their depth chart, and I don't even see anybody that, I mean, obviously, when I was talking about earlier, their linebacker, I was talking about C.J. Mosley, opting out of the season, and not being there, and then you got no Jamal Adams. You've got, I look at their offense. I mean, they have there's 2 starting wide receivers or guys that would be like 2nd or 3rd wide receivers on anybody's team. I like Jamison Crowder. Don't get me wrong; he did a great job to get out of Washington, but I don't think Jamison Crowder is a number 1 wide receiver. I'm sorry. I don't think Brashad Perryman, he's never been a number 1 wide receiver, I feel like. He's always been that second guy. I like the running backs. I do like the running backs, though. I do like Le'Veon Bell and having Frank Gore as that veteran presence. But I don't like having Joe Flacco as the backup quarterback to Sam Darnold, thinking that if Sam Darnold starts, crap in the bed, Joe Flacco's right there to come in and save the day. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think he's going to be doing that. And I really do like their running back lineup. They got LaMichael Pirine. They got Kenneth Dixon. I've always been a Kenneth Dixon fan. I don't know why. I've just always really liked that dude. And I mean, if you look at their defense, there's no veteran presence. I mean, there's no standout guy other than Quinnen Williams.
Yeah, they just traded it away.
Yeah.
And if you look at their first round picks from 2012.
Yeah.
2012 to 2017, which Jamal Adams was 2017 first round pick. They're all gone. All of them. They're all gone. Like, so I mean, like, there is no veteran presence because all their good guys had traded away.
Yeah.
So like that's what I'm saying. It's like there's a problem here. And it's one thing if you're Bill Belichick, you could get away with doing stuff like that, right? Because people know they're like, well, he's playing the money game. He's playing the draft pick game. And he has a plan to replace these guys.
Yeah.
He just don't have a plan to replace them. Like, who are you going to replace Jamal Adams with? Good luck. You know what I mean? That's why Seattle overpaid for the guy.
Yeah.
Because they're going all in for this season too. So I mean that's the problem is that if you have like a checklist, right, of all the things that you don't want on a team, right? Like if you just list 1 through 5. Not paying guys, getting rid of, your good guys, your veterans, trading them away.
Yeah.
Not a good team, not winning, questions about the head coach. Like, dude, you've checked all 5 of those, and a winning team could barely survive that. A losing team, like 2 out of 5 is going to kill your season, and they have all 5. So again, I'm with you. I like they're stable with running backs. But that ain't gonna. I mean, that ain't gonna. It ain't gonna be enough. And if you're counting on Le'Veon Bell, like don't get me wrong, Le'Veon Bell can put up numbers, but he's not exactly, Derrick Henry in terms of being a leader, like on the team. Like that dude can quit on it before anybody.
Yeah.
So long story short, like I'm just out. Like I just don't like the vibe of this team. I don't like anything that they're putting out.
Yeah.
I feel bad for Sam Darnold. And to be honest, I think they have a new head coach next year.
Yeah, no, without a doubt, because I don't think they win more than 5 games. I think they basically. I think Miami and New York might do a little switcheroo. I think Miami, which we'll talk here and just right after this, I think Miami will go 7-9 this year, and I think New York will go 5-11 or 4-12 or something like that. I don't think. I mean, they've got to play that tough schedule, which we're talking about. Everybody has in the AFC East. With the NFC and the AFC West, but with the Jets, they've got the Colts at home, and then they got to play they got at Colts, and then they got to play the Browns at home. I don't see them winning either of those games. Plus, whatever they've got left on the schedule.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I agree with you on Miami. We're going to on a little bit of Arizona's feel from last year, where it's not always pretty.
Yeah.
But you look up at the end of the year, and you're like, whoa, this team won 7 games. You know what I mean? It could be a better season for Miami than we think. So yeah, I'm with you on that for sure.
So all right, you agree with me that they're gonna crap the bed, so we don't have to worry about their record or anything like that. So let's move on to Miami. Let's move on to the intriguing team, because I want to talk New England at the end. Steele is here. Free for all is here. They're both saying hello. And I know Steele would love to hear the New England talk. So yes, they both said, "What up, dude?" They're good. They're always good to see you, man. They're always good to see you, Allan, for sure.
Man, I appreciate them. Yeah, it's a good thing to get to talk to them. Sure.
So Miami, I mean, I'm loving it, man. I guess it's the Alabama fan in me, but I love their draft. I love their 3 first-round draft picks, man. I love Noah Igbenogany. He was amazing to watch last year. I got to watch most of the Auburn games in person and getting to watch him play. And, man, I think that's going to be a great cornerback in addition to them. They got Austin Jackson from USC. I think it's going to be another quality offensive lineman to help Tua out in the future. And then, of course, you got Tua. And, I'm thinking he's ready. I thought he was going to be ready anyway to start the season. But I feel like Fitzpatrick is going to start the season. What are your thoughts on Miami?
Yeah, I think Fitzpatrick will too. Pretty much because this offseason.
Yeah.
If you look at, take Tua and take Joe Burrow in Cincinnati. Well, Joe Burrow is going to be the starter. They don't have anybody. Right? Andy Dalton. But it's going to be tough for these guys, man, because again, you're not going to have this. Your first real live snap. It's going to be week 1 or whatever game is week 1 for you, right? So there's no preseason games. There's no, you don't even have scrimmages against other teams. So, there's just so much that's going to be put on rookie quarterbacks' plates this year. It could be tough. So I say all that just to say that I think Fitzpatrick will be the starter just to start the season.
Yeah.
But the question is Tua takeover, right? When is Tua ready? Because obviously, and I think Miami, what we were just talking about, they certainly have a much better schedule than Buffalo and New York does.
Yeah.
Like we talked about, they've got the 2 straight games versus the Jets. They've got 3 straight home games in December, in week 12, by week 13, week 14, and week 15. Now, 2 of those 3 are against the Chiefs and Patriots, but right? And the tough part is they've got 4 trips to the Pacific and Mountain time zones. 3 and a 5 week span. But again, we'll see how the travel goes and all that. But again, long story short, I like Miami. I think that they are certainly getting better. I'm not going to say that they're for a playoff spot.
Yeah.
Or anything like that, but. I like their draft, like you talked about. It has a very John Gruden Raiders feel to it, where you just go get studs from big teams.
Yeah.
And you just try to load up on as much talent as you can. I like Brian Flores. I think he's got, his fingertip on the pulse, of that team. I think the guys believe in him. And you never know, man. I mean, the Cardinals last year were supposed to be horrible, and should have been. And Kyler Murray changed that quickly. Now, you had Cliff Kingsbury with him. Obviously, he's a smart offensive guy.
Yeah.
You have a good young quarterback, man. People believe. I think that, we're looking at a team who, probably right around 6 wins, roughly right there with the Jets.
Yeah.
But 6 wins for Miami is good. People are feeling good about that because your projection is going up. Like you look at it in a line graph, from last year to this year, it's moving way up in the right direction. So they get the 6 wins, great for them, man. That is something awesome to build on.
Could playing the Jets, which is weird because I don't think I've ever seen something like this where they play an opponent, have a bye week, and then the very next week they play the same opponent again. How many times has that happened a lot? Or is that just this year?
Like it's only the second time.
Okay, I'm sorry. I may have missed that. I apologize.
No, you're fine. Yeah, it's only the second time since 1970.
Wow.
That it's happened. Yeah, and it was the Seahawks and Chargers that did it before. So yeah, it's an odd scheduling quirk that we have in there, but
it must be nice.
I like it because these two teams, kind of battling for, let's say third, in the AFC East, right? And while third doesn't matter, it certainly does to you.
Yeah.
You don't want to be, the team that's projection is going down. You want to be the one that's going up. So I think Miami could, if they win that first one,
yeah,
the second one will mean a whole lot to them. So I kind of like these two teams to have.
So I'm looking at their schedule, and we're thinking that, obviously Fitzpatrick's going to play the first 5 games, or he's going to play to an extent to where, they may hand over the reins to Tua, or they're losing enough games or whatever. But they've got 2 division games right off the bat. They always play division games early. But you got the Patriots, the Bills, the Jaguars, the Seahawks, and the 49ers. Are we saying that Tua makes a start at Broncos, or does he get thrown into the fire at 49ers?
Oh, I wouldn't want to start him either. Right? You kind of look for that, that kind of soft landing spot.
Yeah.
I'm definitely not throwing Tua in against the 49ers for his first game. 0 chance of that whatsoever, because not only is San Francisco good, their defensive line is very good. So no, I don't want him playing in that game.
Yeah.
That's where it gets interesting. If you either kind of start him, very early, you start him week 1 right out of the gate, or you kind of look for that soft landing spot. I don't want to start him at Denver. If they're playing Denver at home, that's not a bad play.
Yeah.
While Denver, I think, is going to be better than they were last year, they're beatable. You know what I mean? They're not, a bona fide playoff team. But I wouldn't want to start them on the road, especially at that elevation. And that's just historically been a really tough place to play. That's the interesting part is that, you got to time it correctly to where he's ready to go. And then to optimize it, you want to play against the Jets. You know what I mean? You want to play against Bengals. You start the guy with something that's winnable. Don't give him the 49ers.
So I didn't really look too in depth on the schedule, but I'm looking at the Dolphins, and they have literally no primetime game. They have a Thursday night game against the Jaguars, which is going to be disgusting to watch, I'm sure.
Nor should they have primetime.
But what if Tua plays? What if Tua comes in? I can see they have this one game on the 27th of December against the Raiders. The time is still to be determined, so that could be Tua time.
Yeah. It could be. Now, and understand, I'm all for Tua. I like the kid. I think he is a leader.
Yeah.
I think he's an exceptional human being.
Right.
And I think he's obviously what we saw at Alabama is tremendous. But you know what? In the NFL, I'm all for somebody proving it before we start throwing primetime games. We get some, Dolphins and Jets, 9-3. We always saw those Titans and Jaguars games. That was always the one to make fun of because it was
yes.
terrible.
Yes.
No one wants to watch that.
It's like Jets and Bills games.
Exactly. Dude, just let's let him come into his zone before we put him on that stage. Which is that.
I was looking out, man, and that's what stinks about it. I get it. I know players don't really like the preseason, and people want it shortened and everything like that. But Man, I was really looking forward to possibly going and watching the Dolphins and Falcons at Falcons, man. That would have been just nice to be able to go watch that preseason game.
Yeah, like that's the thing. Like, not only to get to see it, but I mean, for all these guys, like all these rookies, to be able to have time, like that, it's gonna hurt Tua. It's gonna hurt Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
It's gonna, like it not only quarterbacks, like wide receivers, linemen, offensive linemen. You'll kind of pick it up, but anybody that's out, playing a premier position like that, like it's going to be brutal. So you have to add, kind of 6 to 8 weeks for it, for them just to get their feet wet. You know what I mean? Like Joe Burrow's going to have it quicker than anybody because he's going to start immediately. But somebody like Tua, where there's Ryan Fitzpatrick in front of him, Tua might be ready to go, but the team's saying, okay, well, the schedule doesn't align. We're certainly not going to get this first start in San Francisco. It's just going to be a weird year for rookies, man. It's just going to be tough for them. And I hate it for them because, getting back to what you were saying, like preseason, it doesn't matter, to your starting 11 on offense, but it matters to, the other 42 people that are on the team.
Yeah.
And it matters to the other 40 people that are trying to make a team. So free agent signings after, training camp are going to be interesting. Like, it's just going to be the weirdest preseason we've ever seen.
So I've already said it. I think they go like you said, the 6 games looks good, but man, I think they go 7-9. I think we might see some Fitz magic, for a few games. You never know, man. That first game against the Patriots, we just don't know. The Jaguars, I see them getting rocked by the Seahawks and the 49ers, but I don't know. They could pull 2 games out of that 5, and I don't know, man. I think if they can, if it starts going to 2 a time, and they start getting some Tua magic or Fitz magic or whatever, I can see them pulling out at least maybe 7 wins, going 7-9. I think New York's going to go the opposite, and they're going to go downhill. And maybe I'm just wanting Tua to do more than what he's really going to do, but I don't know.
Well, I like you calling for Magic in Miami, which you should trademark that for sure.
Yeah.
Like that's a T-shirt right there. Like I said, we've got him at 6.1 wins.
Yeah.
Which I think would be good if they, Miami ends with 6 wins. Like that's good for them. The team will feel happy about that. You're going in the right direction. But you never know, man. There could be a swing game for sure. Get to 7 wins. I don't see it going, anywhere further than that.
Yeah.
But again, 6 wins. If they end up at 6, that's a good season for them.
Yeah.
Like that's something to build up on. That's what Arizona did last year. Arizona's looking to build off of that into this year. So you see everybody's hype, everybody's excited. Like 6 wins is different for every different team. Every team in the NFL.
All right, now we're going to talk about that team over there. The team that has been dominating this division for 2 decades now, and the GOAT or whatever you want to call him, whatever, Steele. I know you're listening out there. We're talking about the New England Patriots now, and we're talking about the New England Patriots.
They have a big offseason.
It just seems like that once again. I feel like Bill Belichick got another great quarterback, to be honest with you, in Cam Newton. And I can't wait for Cam Newton to go non-humble, crap all over him, him against the world. I want to see it, and I want to see him do it with Bill Belichick. I want to see this ride, to be honest with you. What are your feelings?
So
you're a Jarrett Stidham guy, right?
I don't know. I like the, we don't know as play like the NFL. I like the thought of him.
Yeah.
I like the thought of Cam Newton a whole lot more, just because he's done it. I'm not saying that Cam Newton's your answer for 10 years, but if you're gonna give me the choice of Cam Newton or Jarrett Stidham, I'm gonna take Cam Newton 10 out of 10 times.
Oh yeah.
Just because we don't know, we haven't seen Jarrett Stidham. And by the way, how many Auburn players are in New England now? New England is basically the Iron Bowl.
Yeah.
Because they've got a ton of Bama players. They got 2 Auburn quarterbacks now.
And Will Hastings. They re-signed Will Hastings, who looks like me out there playing wide receiver.
That's what I'm saying.
He's faster, though.
Bill Belichick has basically taken the Iron Bowl and moved it to New England. The big question with them is, how's it going to be without Tom Brady? How's it going to be with Cam Newton and that all? Their offense is built, what Tom Brady did for the longest time, especially as of late, it's kind of that short passing game, swing pass game, right? Like, they had to disguise things last year because they had a ton of injuries on the offensive line. They lost the best offensive line coach in the NFL, and Dante Sarnecchia. They've had, 8 players opt out, and we're talking about actual real players like Dante Hightower, Marcus Cannon, Patrick Chung. Like, they lost real players, to the opt-outs, which, most teams maybe had one, maybe, and they had one. So I don't know how that's going to go. We're going to be down in New England is about 9.4 wins.
Yeah.
Which is going to be part of it. But they got questions, man. Like, we don't know, what the running game's going to look like. How healthy is Sony Michel? The fullback position is very important to them. They just had, I think Danny Vitale, he opted out as well.
Yeah.
So, their offensive line, they're going to have to disguise a little bit. Fullback position, obviously, is no question. They don't know the run game. And if you look at their skill position players, it's not great.
Yeah.
Your best wide receiver is, at least right now, is Julian Edelman. I think it'll end up being N'Keal Harry.
Yeah.
Right?
It should be.
He's a star in the making. Yeah, I think he's a star in the making. It just has to happen.
You forgot Sanu. You forgot my boy Sanu, though.
I like Mohamed Sanu for sure.
He's not a number one, though.
It depends on what team. But, you look at the tight end position, there's question marks there. It's going to be a young guy playing.
Yeah.
So it's more questions than answers. However, you got Bill Belichick, dude. He's Bill Belichick. He's the greatest coach of all time. He's the greatest general manager of all time. Well, that's great. Actually, he's got a lot of cap space to work with compared to where they were before the opt-out. So we'll see. But again, I think that, the cachet of New England, playing New England, the teams in the division that have been owned by New England, that even though that isn't necessarily a tangible thing,
right?
It's a real thing, right? Like it's real. It's what the Packers have done in the NFC North forever. Like, I mean, it does matter. He's playing these other teams in the division, so New England might be somewhat similar to what we saw last year,
right?
In the regular season, like not great, not bad. Certainly their defense carried a lot of it. But they win games. Like, Belichick knows how to win games in the end, so it might not always be pretty. But they could get to 9 wins, could get to 10 wins, and things, bounce in their favor. And then you can do playoffs, and who knows?
I'm looking at that first round pick, Kyle Duggar. I actually live with a guy that's related to him through like cousins, which is crazy. A lot of people didn't really like that pick. From what I'm hearing from him and from other people, this is a really good pickup at safety. Kind of felt like a reach at the time, even in the second round. But
it's big now. I mean,
yeah,
it's big now. That's to lose at what they have, on their defense. Yeah, that's a big now.
But I also want to ask you this: when we were talking about opting out, now in baseball, Nick Markakis for the Atlanta Braves came back because he was feeling bored, and he can come back. In I know that they had to inform the NFL if they were opting out at a certain date, which was like I think a week and a half ago. But can players come back if they get cold feet?
No. Once you got that, you're done.
Wow.
Finalized. So there's no option on that. Like, they can't, bring back Dante and Chung and Penn and, in week 14 and,
What are your thoughts on Anthony Jennings late in the third round? I actually felt like Anthony Jennings probably should have waited another year.
Well, I'll say this. I'm pretty glad he didn't wait another year.
Yeah. Alabama would be loaded.
They won't be loaded, but who knows what this is going to look like. And I'm not saying that there's not going to be football. I'm just saying it's going to be a weird year, in college football.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad he did. I mean, I think it was a senior, but I want to say he was redshirted, so I think he would have had like another year. But I mean, it's just good to see him go anyway, because I mean, he already has a job,
Yeah. Well, I'll say this. Jennings is a guy. there's a reason Belichick drafted from Alabama.
Yeah.
There's a reason why Belichick drafted from Auburn. But, you know, his relationship with Nick Saban, obviously we all know, is very tight. Those guys think a lot alike, they coach a lot alike. And that's why Alabama players have success in New England. You know, when not everyone does. It's not easy. Like, that's one interesting thing. It's not easy to play at Alabama.
Yeah.
It's not easy to play at New England because, you know, you think that there's stars around you. Well, you've always got somebody behind you that's pushing for your job that's good. And two, there's a lot of expectations, and the coaching is going to be hard.
Yeah.
They're going to be hard on you, and they're going to teach you. They're going to be hard on you. But Anthony Jennings, you know, I mean, if you played it for Nick Saban, you play for Bill Belichick, right? Like, their thought processes, their mentalities are almost identical, right? So,
yeah.
And especially if you added in that, you know, what New England lost on defense. Certainly, you know, with Dante Hightower, not that they're the exact same linebacker player, but, you know, they're going to look for somebody, you know, in that position group that can play. And, you know, we've seen from New England a lot, especially in the past couple of years, you know, where they kind of, Bill Belichick will roll with an amoeba defense. Right?
Yeah.
Like he doesn't, you know, always play just straight up, you know, X's and O's in
right.
terms of, like, we run a 4-3. Like, dude, he'll run a 1-10. Care. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like, he plays to the strength of his players. So, yeah, I mean, you know, long story short, we'll see. But, I mean, you know, Jennings has, let me say this. I'll end it with this. He has the opportunity to be as good as he wants to be.
Steele said, here's a guy who says, here's a guy a lot. We don't need your sass. We don't need your sarcasm right now, Steele. We don't need it. We don't need it.
Chris Collinsworth is entered the chat.
Yeah, I mean, this is a guy that he adores Chris Collinsworth. I'm telling you, man. He loves him some Chris Collinsworth. He loves it anytime that he can hear. Here's a guy. So
does he really likes Chris Collinsworth?
Do you really like Chris Collinsworth, Steele? I don't think he does. He hates him. I think he hates his guts.
Well, I'll say this. 3 years ago, I met Chris Collinsworth.
Yeah.
And I'll say this. He is one of the nicest human beings on the planet.
Of course.
Like, had no reason, you know, to sit and hang out with me,
yeah.
You know, for you know, just a couple minutes. And dude is legit. Like, he is, and it is, like, it's honest. Like, he's an honest, nice guy. Like, it wasn't, you know, it wasn't anything like, dude just sat down, you know, at a restaurant table, just talking ball.
Yeah.
Like, he's a good dude. He's a good dude.
That's good. That's good, man. I'm glad. I'm glad that he's cool. Like, I know he gets a lot of crap. I mean, and the voice is iconic. I get it. But, you know, we all.
Anybody in those positions, like Joe Buck,
yeah.
catches a lot of crap. You know,
oh yeah.
Like, anybody's gonna catch it.
I mean, I don't think a lot of people. And I like Joe Buck when he does baseball. I'm not a big fan when he does football, to be honest with you. So, but
I like Joe Buck. Like, I don't have anything against him, but I certainly I get it. Like.
I'm not a hater. The only person I don't think I've ever liked was Vernquist. So
there you go.
Gary Danielson and Vernquist, man, that's a good duo right there. All right, so let's break it down, and then I want to ask you one more question randomly about the NFL, and you know what it's about, or you should anyway. But let's break down New England. You said that Sportsline has them at 9 wins. Do they win the division? Having to play at Chiefs, and I think it's against the Ravens at home, with the schedule that they have.
No, I think Buffalo wins the division.
All right.
I think it's going to be tight, but I just think that at least as of right now, like, if I have to pick, I'm going to go with Buffalo because there's more continuity. I know more about Buffalo than I do about New England, right? And again, you're not going to find anybody who respects Bill Belichick more than me.
All right.
But I just don't know. There's too many question marks for me to pick them. Like, I see what Buffalo's defense is going to be.
Yeah.
I see what they're off. Like, they didn't really lose much at all. Like, I know what this team is going to be. I have no idea what New England's going to be. Now, I mean, they could come out and win 11 games. Cam Newton could have, you know, monster year. But again, if I were betting, I would take Buffalo over New England just because I see it and I know what I'm getting out of them. That makes sense.
All right, we hear it there. We've broken down the AFC East here with Allan Bell Jr. I'm going to ask him one more question and then get him out of here. If you'd like to ask him a question before we get out of here, go ahead and drop it down, and then we're going to get him out of here at least in the next 10 minutes. All right, here's my question. Vic Beasley Jr., all right, I was reading an article on Facebook. It was heavy.com. They must like you a lot. They were all over your coverage of Vic Beasley. I was hating on it. I mean, I loved your coverage, but I was hating on Vic Beasley. Apparently, Tom thinks that I'm just a straight hater of Vic Beasley. But to be honest with you, I'm tired. I'm tired of him. I watched him for 5 years take money away from the Atlanta Falcons. And I get it. He had a funeral, or he had like a family issue that he had to go to. But he came back and he did not pass his physical. Because you said, and why couldn't he pass his physical, sir?
Conditioning.
Yeah.
His conditioning wasn't up to par. Now, his physical should be cleared up. If not today, tomorrow.
Yeah.
But I'll say this: you're a Falcons fan. I'm sitting here with one of my great friends in the world, Trent. He's a Falcons fan, and even before this, Vic Beasley signed, with Tennessee. I'm talking last year, right? Like, I got the Vic Beasley rundown pretty good. Right? Like, I think I've got a pretty good feel on where Falcons fans, feel about him, and then all of, him.
He can't tackle, man.
Yeah, like him showing up late, him not passing his, his physical start, like, it was pretty much exactly what, Trent had laid out to me, right? So,
Yeah.
Here's the thing. If he comes out and has 2 sacks against Denver, nobody's going to talk about it, at least as of right now.
Yeah.
But that's a big ask. Like, I mean, you're looking at a guy who didn't even show up on time. You're looking at a guy who, while I don't think his condition is that bad, he still still has the physical. And, what I'm saying is he firmed up all his benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and he firmed them up quick, right out of the gate, which is the worst way to start a career, with a new team. So people in Nashville, are obviously, not happy. They didn't even know if he was going to play.
Yeah.
But, he might opt out. But I will also say this. Oddly enough, I have a connection to Vic Beasley that I didn't know about until about a week ago. Yeah, so if you saw, like, you said that Heavy was putting out some of my reporting on him, it's because I have a direct connection to him. And, kind of like, I was the only one that broke out of why he failed his physical.
Okay.
Right? Like, nobody else knew. I also knew when he was reporting.
Right.
Had that before Schefter, before Rappaport, all of them. So it's weird how that part worked out. I didn't even know it.
You're over here holding out on us.
So I'll say his physical, he's been showing up early, 6 a.m. type workouts. Obviously, the Titans started their first practice on the field yesterday. He wasn't on the field because he's not on the active roster. However, like I said, don't be surprised if today or tomorrow it gets announced that Vic Beasley has passed his physical and moves from the non-football injury list to the active roster. I'll just say that. And
watch him play better than he has in the last 5 years. He has 12 sacks this year. I mean,
that's the funny thing. And look, everybody that's NFL fan has been on that before, to where a player, you pay him a ton of money, he doesn't live up to it. He goes to another team and just shines. And it makes you even more angry. Now, is Vic going to do that here? I don't know. Like I said, he's burned up all the benefit of the doubt. So I'm not going to put that out there. But what I'm saying is I understand that attitude, because no matter who you're a fan of, everybody's had a player that's done that. And you're like, well, why can't we just get that here? You know what I mean? Like, we would have paid you all the money in the world. So
yeah, you could have done that in Tennessee. You didn't need to go there.
Fans aren't going to be happy, regardless of that.
You wanted Jadeveon Clowney. You got Vic Beasley. You're welcome. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
You messed up. You messed up. You know what I mean? Pay a little extra for the guy that's a little bit better.
I know, right?
All right, man. Well, I appreciate you as always, and I'm sure I'll be talking to you Monday at 10 o'clock in the morning. I know you're looking forward to that, man.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, the radio show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Early.
10, okay.
Going earlier, man.
I like it.
Gets me out of the office a little earlier.
There you go. See? Now you can enjoy the rest of your day.
So that'd be nice, man. Well, and man, I would love to talk to you more and talk a little bit what's going around camp with the Tennessee Titans. I know you've been out there. I know you've been kind of covering them a little bit. You know, and I know you're looking forward to the season starting, and I greatly appreciate you once again coming by. Tell everybody where they can hit you up at and listen to your coverage.
Yeah, definitely. So you can have Twitter, Allan Bell 247, sportsline.com, you know, the entire CBS family. So CBS Sportsline, CBS Sports, 24/7 Sports, you name it, man. Like, we're gonna have you covered from every angle. So yeah, hit one of them up or hit me up on Twitter, man. I'm always down to talk to anybody.
All right, and also if you need any Vic Beasley information before it goes out in the world, Allan Bell's your guy.
I'll have you covered, baby.
All right, man. Thank you so much, and you have a good rest of your day and enjoy this pretty one.
I appreciate it, buddy. Thanks for having me on the show.
Anytime, man. See ya. There you go. Allan Bell Jr. Always awesome. Breaking down the AFC East. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed it, Steele. We're gonna go take a break because I need to go to the grocery store. And yeah. And then I'll get back on later. Are you gonna play some Battlefield, sir? I had to fix my mic, sorry. Are you gonna play some Battlefield, sir? You did? Without me? While I was playing Grounded? Why didn't you tell me? Get that Dr. Pepper. Where is it? I was drinking one just a second ago. All right. Okay, let me know when you're on. I'm going to get off. I'm going to end the show, technically. I'm going to end it. So it'll kind of drown out, you know, that the show's over and I can clip it. And then I'll be right back. But I may play for like another hour and then go to the store, or I may just get off and go to the store. So hold on. So thank you so much, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to Allan Bell and I talk a little sports. I'm sure he'll be on next Saturday. I'll talk to him and we'll try to break down. I think I have, yeah, it's the AFC South and the NFC South. We got that next. This has been Talking Sports with Coach. I hope you've enjoyed it. To be honest with you, I hope you enjoyed it. Because I enjoy talking this, and I appreciate everyone coming by. But like I said, we'll break down the AFC the AFC South first, and then the following week we'll break down the NFC South. Because that's the Falcons, and I'd like to save them for last. So yeah, thank you so much, everybody. This has been Talking Sports with Coach. Coming at you once again. I'll be posting it up on the YouTubes. Check it out. Follow me on Facebook. No, don't follow me on Facebook. But Twitter, Instagram if you want. So I'm out. Bye.